Welcome to the August 28th, 2025 meeting of the Mendon Conservation Commission. Calling the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. My name is Carl Hummel. I am the chair, but not for much longer. Now, introduce the rest of the members. There's more.
Bob Sweet.
Susan Cahalan.
Leah Whiting. Isabella, the agent.
First thing we do after the roll call is a part of the meeting, good and welfare for the public. This is an opportunity for members of the public to express issues of concern or comment on things that are not on the agenda that they wish to bring to the committee's attention. We would not make any discussions or decisions on it. We might end up referring the matter to the agent to investigate, to put on the agenda for a future meeting. I don't see anybody online. Well, no, there is one person. He doesn't count. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to bring something to our attention that's not related to an existing agenda item? Okay. Next item would be commission reorganization. We're still missing 2 members. Did you hear anything from Mike about his not attending? Peter usually shows up about 10 minutes late. So there's no dissent. I would go on and start doing the first public hearing and then reorganize when we have full membership.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll reopen the public hearing for 112 Uxbridge Road, DEP number 218-0866. Construction of an armored slope. And introduce yourself, please.
So Mark Allen with Allen Engineering and Associates, here on behalf of James Quirk. You may recall this is a project that's gone on for a couple of months. At the last hearing, we were just waiting to get a response back from the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. We did receive that last week. I don't know if the commission's had time to review it, but it basically, it took in our information about how this project was initiated by an enforcement order by the commission, and we're looking just to put the stones that are placed on the traveled way onto the slope. And they basically said in their sort of a recap of their 3-page letter, they understand that this is sort of a phase 1 of a potential phase 2 project, and that they would be in support of having the commission close and vote on it, provided that the work is done between October 1st and April 15th, which the applicant is more than willing to abide by. So we're here to basically say we agree with the division, and hope we get a little hearing tonight to get the slope stabilized before the winter.
Okay. You had a comment about one of the DEP comments about housing, about single family house.
It won't affect the armament, but Mark, if the Mendon bylaws, if I remember them correctly, they state that anything on 15 on 140 that is not developed or is torn down, be redeveloped, needs to be so I don't know if that single family house application applies to that.
Okay.
So that might be something that needs to be looked into.
Yeah, if there's a financial change, we could get it to develop.
That's the only thing that I saw.
Yeah, not a big deal. Yeah, we can make that change.
And this is just on the armament, the wall itself.
Correct. Yep.
So you would come back at some point in the future when the owner decides what they're going to do with the parcel.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was just a delivery of stone, like I'll just recap quickly, that was available at the time. And he knew that this slope was, in sort of a fragile state where it needs to be stabilized. So he took the stone on knowing that he was going to stabilize the slope. And then he's been entertaining different options for future development, of which just haven't been nailed down just yet. So whenever those development plans come along, like the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife said, that'll be sort of phase 2, and we'll file a brand new notice of intent. we'll file a brand new Division of Fisheries and Wildlife application and go through the process with all the stormwater controls and all that.
Did it end up by being the 2-to-1 slope as opposed to the 1-to-1?
Yes, yeah, the worst case scenario today is 2-to-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions or comments? Okay,
No.
wanted to check with Isabella, my understanding of the various regulations and whatnot is that since Terry wasn't here for the previous hearings, he should not be participating in voting.
That's my intention Tuesday.
Okay. Do you prefer to go by Terry or Terrence?
Terry's fine.
Okay,
Don't forget what your name is, then he may call you like. Something like that. Well, you won't be here that much longer, so you'll only have that happen a few times.
all right, so there are a
I
couple,
move,
first to close the hearing.
I move to close the public hearing for 112 Uxbridge Road, DEP 218-0866.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. The hearing is now closed. The next issue before us is to whether to waive the 25-foot no disturb and 50-foot no build setbacks. Is there a motion? Okay, I will do it. I move to waive the 25-foot no disturb and 50-foot no build setbacks under the amended wetlands protection bylaw. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yep. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Do we want to waive the 25 or just the 50?
Yeah, I don't think they should be lumped together.
The plan as presented is within, the work is within the 25-foot zone.
They'll be working about 8 feet from the wetland.
Yeah, so just if I could, to clarify through the chair, we won't be disturbing any trees or doing any stumping or grubbing, or it's previously altered, so it's a little bit of a different ball game. It's not like we're asking to clear trees up to 8 feet. That's where the existing asphalt is, so it's a little bit different of an ask.
So you're going to be on the upward side of the asphalt,
Correct.
not on the wetland side.
Correct. Yeah.
My position is that since the asphalt has been there for 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
it's stable, and therefore
Right.
I feel that it's that's why I feel it's reasonable for us to waive the 25-foot 50, because it will not adversely impact the site.
No, that's understandable. Because, I just wanted to clarify that there was no actual work being done
Right.
in the 25. It's just you're using it as
Previously altered, just moving the stone uphill.
Now, this is a case I was talking with you about. You could ask to split the question, you'd have a separate motion and vote on 25 and the second one on 50. But it doesn't make sense in this because you might as well do both at the same time.
Yep. And then with it being explained, it makes more sense.
Okay, any further discussion, questions?
Just a question, because if you could go back to that. So this slope extends beyond the owner's property?
It does today, yes, but we're not asking to do any work beyond the owner's property.
Right, so you're only doing work within that red area?
Correct. Well, and then that's the endangered species
Yes.
area, and then everything to the east
To the
plan.
east. But to the left where you have all those planned slope, you're not going to be doing anything?
Correct. Correct. It's everything to the east of that red clouded area, the red clouded area and to the east.
So we're going to have an area where,
What exists today exists.
And the slope is gonna be different one way or the other.
No, the slope out there, this was the change at the last meeting.
Okay.
We're not proposing to change any slope change now because that was using it a little bit too difficult to get permitted geology wise. So what we're proposing is to leave the slopes as they are today. And the slopes on the applicant's property is going to be stabilized with the rock
To the existing
to
grade.
the existing grade.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. We will now have a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions? Yeah, motion passes. On to the order of conditions motion. Make me do all the work.
Issue an order of conditions for 112 Oxford Road for 318-0866 as drafted by the agent.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? People clear about what the agent will be drafting? Is the agent clear about what the agent will be drafting? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. All right, last one. First,
Enforcement order issued for 7 Park Street on 5/12/2025.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Me.
Motion passes unanimously. Thanks for coming.
Great. Thank you so much.
We'll see
Appreciate your time.
We'll see you in a couple of months or next year when they decide what to do with the property.
So I hope it's that fast. Thank you.
I sent Mike and Mandalia a text and haven't responded. At least another 15 minutes. So is that the only? Yes. On to agenda item number 6, 157 Hartford Avenue East. Review tree cutting activity on the site within 100 feet of the border. And on a sidewalk, people can share their observations from that. We have the plans that involve, took some pictures and looked at the old pipe that was there. So what we're doing here is I asked them to come in case people who weren't on the sidewalk wanted to ask questions or get other things on this. So could you share what you saw on the sidewalk?
Me?
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of cleared land, I actually put a bunch of pictures on the server, so, some cleared land in the back part of the property. There's logs stacked up on various spots, a couple of stumps that were just still in place, that were still sticking up, ground down, or anything like that. I did see the new outlet where the piece of plate pipe. I did see it, it's walking back to the lake. And, yeah, so. And it's supposed to be a, farm.
Here.
Here. Oh, sorry.
I saw the land was fairly flat. There was some disturbance, nothing near the wetlands. They were in their jurisdiction to replace the pipe, being a farm. And all of the actions moving forward are positive.
The one observation I made during the sidewalk is before going out there, I was wondering whether, because he's scraping the ground down and going to be doing construction, if we needed a siltation barrier where the limited work was. But given the topology that we saw, the fact that we went right after a heavy storm and there was no runoff going downhill, I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, he had a lot of riprap down there.
Yeah.
With the riprap swell that he put in, that stuff, and the pines and that. Walking away anyway, so. The site was in good condition.
Okay, so, was glad to have had this opportunity to work with you. Let us know, contact the agent if you think you need to do anything more down buffer zone area.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, good luck with the honey.
Thanks, yeah, Bob, in the meeting.
Yes, hope I'll give back to the town. Thank you.
Let your bees come to my blueberries.
Yeah.
Okay, agenda item number 7, 37 Kinsley Lane, DEP 2 and 8-0868. Enforcement order, placement of beach sand. I will let Susan go first. One of the concerns that Susan raised was where the sand came from and whether it had contaminants. Being in the document.
Yeah, there's just a, like a customer order / invoice. It tells me where it came from, but it doesn't have any certificates claiming that it's free of contaminants or whatever.
So I contacted the company and they actually are the same company that the town of Mendon uses to supply the beach sand of the public beach.
Mhm.
And he said it was of the same grade. But that in terms of providing a certificate or anything like that, that he's never heard of that.
Yeah, they should have something on file. Yeah, especially providing down to the town. Concern, then there was gonna be an amendment to the notice for the beach standing and not.
Right.
That's been filed with.
So the question is, how do you want to proceed? You would work with Isabella on what the next steps are going to be.
So we did do the straw waddle and all that. Did you get those pictures?
And they put in writing that they want to request the amendment for the beach, so it does need to be another public hearing with the butter notices.
Okay.
So the butter notices you'll need to do next week, and then we'll schedule second meeting in September
Okay.
after that.
Okay.
So it is another public hearing.
So, Mr. Chair, good question. So you're going to come in with a request for
An RDA or?
a beach? And are we going to, they're limited to 10% or 50 feet, whichever is less? Is
That's the performance standards and the regulations, but if this was the existing patio, there's other considerations
Now maybe be.
with the retaining
So
wall.
a pre-existing patio can become grandfathered, become a beach? I wouldn't necessarily agree with that.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
If I may, so the patio is recessed down, so it's a foot down drop. And it's literally just a big sandbox, if you will, because there is wall in front and wall along the whole sides. So it's completely self-contained. And I do have video that after that big storm we had, I took video to see if there actually had been any sand that kind of went over the wall or anything. And there's nothing, and I'm happy to provide that to you.
We can discuss that further when we have the public hearing for the amendment.
I just think this is gonna be it seems like a small thing, but there's a lot of facets to this. And, if it's allowed, I don't know if the EZ will allow it. Then everyone's gonna wanna put sand on their beach, and if we don't allow it, I just feel like we're in a pickle here.
Right, and what I'm struggling with is what would be allowed by right with an RDA, with a versus, no, it's been grandfathered. So
There's no grandfather.
there is no grandfather. So if there had been a beach there, it doesn't really matter. If there had been a deck, you can't necessarily replace the deck or I don't know what
What we will have discretion on we'll talk about it at the public hearing, not now.
Okay,
Isabella will DEP.
but he's got to come up with a plan, right?
Right.
I would hope he'd come up with a
I have
plan.
another question, because I feel like you guys are coming at it with like, we're the first ones to put sand down, but like, there's like, not to get out of my business, this is just our business, but there's other places that have like 20 yards of sand on their yard and this property, that property. I don't know if you guys have been around the lake. I know that doesn't have anything to do with us, but at the same time, I'm wondering how they went about getting theirs.
No, but that's the exact point, that they
may not have.
They haven't, so we're struggling with how to deal with,
Okay. At the last meeting, you saw that there was two people in front of us and both had the same, I didn't know story.
Oh, yeah.
So the Lake Nipmuc Association has all the rules and regulations. They have no problem publishing. They're on their website. They put out a newsletter. They're actually even asking for permission to put signs up where the dock, where the boat launches are. So that the I didn't knows
Can't happen.
really can't fly any.
Just told Gregory, who was now head of the lake, the task force, that he couldn't do sand.
Oh, okay.
And then you could stand down.
Oh, wow.
So do you see what we mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of more background stuff too.
Yeah. So you didn't know that, but that's why last week we were just kind of like,
Taken back.
we're struggling, we're all struggling.
Right. If you don't mind me asking, you're stepping down or just,
I'm not going, we're going to have, we have a new member, one of the members dropped off. And every year you reorganize and see who the new chair will be.
oh, it's every year, okay.
If nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. So someone else.
so yes.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to be coming to the meetings.
Okay.
Is that what it said? Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Okay, so, I believe that we are all set and we will hold off on anything until we get a plan and review it at the public hearing.
All right,
And
so
as Isabella said, work with her on making sure you get a deadline for next week, the public notice and stuff.
Carl, I'm assuming if I visit that site, I'm up to date, is that correct?
Yes, you will. There's an existing order of conditions. It's on the website. So, sorry. And the existing and a notice of intent. And that is on the SharePoint site. You should have access to. And you can schedule a time to go out there. At some point, you'll get a little membership card saying you're on the Concom.
I don't either.
I don't have a card.
I get them from BBT when they do the.
It's been a long time.
IDs.
In any case, if you see me, don't yell.
Oh, no worries.
Should get it from the police office.
Just smile, we'll have you on camera.
Yes, what happens is, when you submit a notice of intent, it explicitly grants permission to members of the Conservation Commission to conduct a reasonable site walk, given prior notice.
Sure. We welcome you.
Yep. And that way he'll be able to go look at the site.
Terry, if you're going, I'll go with you. I haven't been up there. I haven't either.
Okay,
I'm gonna give you my phone number.
if there's that many people, then I would go to Isabella and schedule.
Bring our
something.
lawn chairs.
Yeah.
There are some chairs already there, help yourself.
I'm basically just checking with Dan to see if it's the same place.
Okay, so thanks for coming in. You'll see some people in another week or two, and then we'll see you at our next 9/11 meeting.
All right, sounds good.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Let's zoom up to agenda item 9, because I think we can do that in 5 minutes. To Nipmuc Drive, DEP number 218-0837. Review activity occurring outside the limit of work.
Thank you.
Finally hauled you in.
Yeah, so I received an email from Isabella the other day suggesting that I may want to stop by. Just been, well, no, her last email came in suggesting that I should stop by tonight's meeting. So Yeah, so here I am, obviously it's taken too long. It's definitely just due to our workload, so I haven't gotten to file in the notice of intent. We did start the work today out in the field. The survey did take place today. So what that is collecting all the data, the existing conditions out there. So we plan on compiling and getting an existing conditions plan. Middle of next week, the survey has to compile it, put together it, put some effort in, and so we have a decent existing conditions plan. Following that, then we'll move to putting the pen to the paper, so to speak, and getting a notice of intent filed.
Mike, is he gonna mark out all the wetlands?
We can do that. Yeah,
I'm assuming that it's fairly obvious, but.
yes. Yeah, we can definitely reflag the wetland flags from the original line.
Right, because I know a while ago that whole edge had some contention about what was done to it and whatnot, so.
Right.
It might be best for everybody to know exactly what everything is.
Yep, we can certainly do that.
Thank you.
There's a question, is there wetlands there? It's back, it's the lake, right?
Well, that's what-
Are there wetlands?
It's the code.
It's the code, right? So
Right.
Yeah, it's that man-made cove that comes in and it has,
Doesn't really need to be flat. It's pretty clear in the field where it is, right? There's no above the bank wetland. There is, I don't know.
yeah, it meanders a little bit before that sharp edge from the man-made excavation. So it did meander in and out. So yeah, I mean, we don't have a problem doing that anyways. We'll flag it.
Out there surveying, they throw through flags.
Yeah, we didn't do that today. I just asked the surveyors to go out and get the existing conditions, but as we go forward and we come together and have the hearings, that's when Bobby Spur.
For you to have me there.
Yeah. I can do that. But I sincerely apologize that I haven't gotten it done yet. It's not really the homeowner. Benny's a pretty nice guy and he doesn't call and yell at us every other day and tells us to get it done, so.
So what do you expect to happen by the
9/11, that's a tough meeting. No, so how many days is that? So I'm thinking a couple weeks we should have.
2 weeks.
Yes, so I'm here to turn the screws because it's
Yep.
dragging so long.
Okay,
If Benny's not calling you, we're gonna nag you
Yes.
every 2 weeks. So
Nope,
what do you
that's-
expect will be the status in 2 weeks?
I think we'll be close to pulling everything together. I don't want to sit here and say that I'm gonna have I also don't want to, I understand that it's been delayed. I understand it. I don't want to waste the commission's time, but I also now don't want to rush and then just throw something in front of the commission that is really not that thorough. So it's 2 weeks to have a complete NOI will be pretty tough.
Well, I'm not expecting we would hear the NOI because
Yep.
we need to get it done next week in order to have.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we won't be on the agenda with the NOI. I'm not even sure that I'll have the entire thing completed and submitted in 2 weeks, but I hope to. But if it's not 2 weeks, it's probably about 2.5 weeks.
Right, well,
So I would say in by the 25th of September to be on October 9th meeting.
Okay, yeah,
that gives
that's
you another 2.
that'll give me plenty of time.
Okay.
Yeah, let's make sure that happens.
Okay.
I will.
Members of the commission comfortable with that timetable?
If he does it, if it's in by the 25th, that's great. If not,
Yeah. And,
September 25th, correct? Yeah, it'll be done.
I'm not driven by that a few times. I thought you might halfway down, I just make sure that
Yeah.
the secondary production. And between now and then.
but there's like, here about, long time ago though.
We had a couple a while ago. Yeah, Isabella and I went out individually.
Yeah, and I had met with you guys out there also pertaining to the current issues or concerns with the project now. But I've
We'll do it
been,
again.
yes,
Yeah, that sounds good.
With the updated plan
Yeah, that'd be great.
and looking at the new flags. Okay, thanks for coming. in.
Okay.
We'll-
yep. Once again, I apologize and I don't want to waste the commission and Isabella's time. I appreciate
Pitchforks and torches come out at 5.
it. No, it's long overdue. It's just, I got to get it done. That's all.
It's happened that you believe your deadline is slipping. Make sure Isabella knows so that she can give us a status update.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Now, 7:30, I've given Mike enough grace. I will hand over supreme executive authority to our conservation agent for the next part of the reorganization.
Okay, so this is a adopted from the board now from their reorganization process. Tonight's meeting will reorganize the Conservation Commission. I want to congratulate Peter Coffin and Clarence Moore for being appointed by the select board. I think, Peter, you're at 33 years, something crazy, so maybe you'll hit 40.
He gets a gold watch.
But not a real
Newer
one.
So at this time, I'll take nominations for the chair.
I nominate Bob.
Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate, move to nominate Leah. Appreciate that. Wish we had a full people.
Anyone else?
I'll nominate myself.
You've already been nominated, Bob.
You can turn down.
That's free.
You can ask your significant other whether she thinks it's.
If there are no other nominations, we'll close the nominations portion of for the chair. And so we have Bob Sweet has been nominated for the chair of the Conservation Commission, and we'll go to a vote and we'll do roll call vote, please. You want to vote or do you want to say?
I'm gonna abstain simply because I don't know you all very well yet. Apologize for doing that because I know this is a very important vote for the commission.
I'll vote myself.
Carl Hummel, yes.
Susan Cahalan, wait, I'm voting for, is this for, okay, Susan Cahalan, no.
Wait, is that how you do it? You vote?
We're gonna vote on each person. So Bob first.
Okay, is it me? I guess no. Because I'm going to.
What happens if I abstain?
Now Bob gets 2 votes. Okay, we have Leah Whiting who's been nominated for the chair. We'll go to a vote.
Abstain.
No,
This is so awkward. You have to be so awkward.
No.
Isn't it? I can't vote, right?
Yeah,
Great.
you do vote.
Great, Bob voted
I
for
can say-
himself. You
Yeah.
vote for yourself.
You vote for yourself, yes.
Okay. I,
Just because they can, I'm going to abstain. Sorry.
Terrence, unfortunately, one of you has to be the tiebreaker.
Me?
One of you has to vote for someone.
Or we just
Why?
hold off until
We
we
can't
have,
be carried to the.
I think we should hold off until we've full membership here.
and
Maybe, but why can't it be carried?
Can.
can we make a motion?
If the voting is failing, then
we would declare that the reorganization fails, if the existing chair gets stuck with the job until we successfully break the tie.
or you hand it off to your vice chair if you don't want to do it.
Do you
Oh,
want me to run the next one?
no, I'll keep doing it.
And then at some point, Mike.
We can but hope.
Unless he's avoiding it.
Are you
Well,
allowed
then
to
we-
proxy stay if it doesn't, if it doesn't come to the next meeting, he could.
Can we have co-chairs?
No, that is not allowed. Then we send out the sergeant at arms and call them in, just like the state legislature.
I'll go to Texas.
You've been allowed access for today apparently, so.
Well, I sent him a text and he did not respond. All right. From here, I thought I'd get to change my signature, email signature.
Here's your gavel back.
Yarr. All right, I will now wield the supreme executive authority once again. Okay, we have someone in the audience. Are you here for a specific agenda item?
I wasn't sure my
My
RFP
wife.
or whatever it is, was gonna be
It's
for
been,
tonight.
it's been submitted, but I believe we'll be on the agenda for a future.
September 11th,
Yes,
September 11th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
but you can, cheer on.
I was hoping for that too, but you know,
All right, we'll go back to agenda item number 8, 41 Taft Avenue enforcement order. Review activity that has occurred without a permit.
I met with Mr. Pereira. They are holding off on work on 41 Taft Avenue. Still working on those site plans he was talking about. He did submit an RDA for 39 Taft Ave, which is the neighboring property, to remove the lawn and hydroseed and then replace the deck that's attached to the house. So that'll be on the September 11th meeting. But the erosion controls are along both the frontage of 41 and 39 on both sites.
I feel like the
I
site.
think that RDA speaks to both properties.
Guess I know how that works.
Is it better if you feel like the site's in good shape, at least for right now?
I think it's fine.
And we
I
have,
don't know that they plan to hydroseed 41 when they're still gonna have heavy equipment.
Yeah, maybe I read it wrong.
I did see hydroseed.
About the same.
Both addresses. We'll see.
meet with him, he may, this feel and he may be interested in submitting RDA for one site, and apply for the other 2 RDAs, depending on how he wants to proceed with the 2 parcels. Okay, do anyone on the commission feel the need to do anything else with the enforcement order? Or do you feel that enough progress is being made now that it'll be on the agenda for next week?
It seems like he's got the message.
Right. As long as the site stays, things gonna get Washington
Okay.
Lake or whatever, we're good. They'll be back there.
All right, I believe that covers all of the items regarding parcels. We'll now go on to updates. Chair update. Don't make me do this next time. So show up and vote next time. All right. The other thing I would ask, conservation agent update.
We already talked about the 2 new RDAs, 44 Norfolk Street and 39 Taft Avenue. Probably also gonna see the Providence Road culvert for the second meeting in September or in October. A notice of intent for that. I did want to talk about sort of packets and do people like the paper packets? Do you all want paper? Is the SharePoint okay? And then do we want to keep doing site visits as I have on Wednesday, Thursday mornings? 9 to 10, or do we want to do something else earlier, 8 a.m.?
Not earlier.
What's your availability during the week? Okay.
I'll go midnight, but not 8 a.m.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I like having, I like the.
Traffic patterns, if we can go in between traffic patterns, that would be good, and I do like to pass the packets, because I write my notes on them, and that way there I have them for future.
Traffic patterns?
Yeah,
School buses.
9 a.m.
School, we don't want to compete with the school buses.
So later? No,
Yeah,
9 is good.
10 o'clock is great, 9 o'clock.
9's fine, I get up with
At
traffic.
least the buses are mostly out of the way at that point. People travel to work by then.
It just has to be lighter.
My input on the packet is I like having the motion sheet,
Me too.
hard copy.
It's great.
The other supplementary documentation, like the ones you included today, I review those on the SharePoint site. They're
So
very
we just
useful.
want motion sheet.
Well, I think. it's
Personally,
helpful-
for me, I'm content with just the motion, the agenda as posted, motion sheet.
But I don't think everyone here goes online. It's fine.
No, but I want to make sure I'm not wasting paper unnecessarily if people only want the motion sheet versus packet, so I know the number for each one. So at least Carl can have the motion sheet.
I hate to see like colored pictures, like 7 copies of color,
Are you
3
good?
pages of color, because that seems a waste. but I do like to see a paper, so I don't feel I need my own, but if we could share 2 or 3 paper copies.
Are you good with downloading things and stuff like that?
Yeah, more or less, but I do like something at the meeting but I can share, I just want to look at it. So it's,
I agree with that. I like to come through it that way. As much as it's up there. Again, notes and whatnot. I'll just print it.
So it sounds like motion sheet and agenda for everyone and then 2 packets of the rest of the stuff. And then that will get passed back and forth between people.
Because I think Mike likes them too.
And that's similar to what we do with the paper that is submitted by an applicant for a public hearing.
yeah, Mike and I share, and if another one gets shared over there.
I read plans off the computer, it's easier.
I do that sometimes too, but sometimes my eyes.
Yeah.
Can you give an update on the consultants' regulations?
I haven't been able to get the proposals, so
Okay.
it was too much, I think, to do that as a summer project for the regulations, so hoping to have it end of September maybe, and then look at 3 proposals. Hopefully all proposals are for the same. We're talking about the wetland bylaw, we want to draft regulations. But I've given all the 3 firms I've reached out to, I'll probably have to find another one if the 3rd one doesn't respond. Just about the proposals are all similar to each other and comparable.
For the amount of money we're looking to spend, is there a town or state requirement that we get 3 bids instead of 2?
Doesn't apply to consultants, but we don't have a consultant we use. Besides, you tend to pick DeShang. So I don't want to just pick one myself and have the board not like the choice. I want to give 3.
Okay.
But if I can't get 3, then it'll just be the 2 I've been talking to.
For a previous peer review, we looked at 2. So I would say that if you can't get 3, then we'll go with 2.
Not all firms have the capacity to do this either.
Regulations under the revised bylaw is going to be substantially different from state regs.
So we don't have regs that talk about the 25-foot setback or 50-foot setback of like what they think is or isn't okay. We also have a 100-foot buffer zone around vernal pools and intermittent streams that aren't in the wetland, the state regs. So those need to be built out. And then our fee structure has been the same since 2012. So also looking at that.
Here's another way of looking at it. The Wetlands Protection Act is the Massachusetts statute. DEP creates regulations and performance standards based on that. The Mendon bylaw additionally protects 25, 50, 100. And the regulations that we would be coming up with would address specifically our buffer zone. Okay. Lake Nipmuc Task Force.
They haven't met. They meet on the first Tuesday of every month. So they should be meeting right after Labor Day.
Land use.
No meeting was scheduled for this month because there's not to do.
I have a question. What was the result of the water test for the lake?
Which result?
Well, usually
The weekly bacteria testing.
yeah, well, we had water and wetlands go out there and spray for weeds and stuff, right?
They did their treatment, yeah.
But they don't test. They just,
I test weekly.
Oh, you do the 7 spots?
And the beach E. coli.
You go out on a boat.
The beach, okay?
No, I wear waders.
Like, it's not fun, you get to go on a boat.
So
You
you
test
people I stand and check.
And yeah,
I have a kayak if you ever need one.
I've had canoes and usually put back.
We'll strap it to the EV. You can let us out there. That'd be fun.
I do have, from Ellen, the certificate of receipt for open meeting law. I think Susan did it, but everyone else should sign that they understand open meeting law.
Did I email
And if you want to review what Susan or what Ellen sent out and bring it back next week, you can do that too.
Oh, no. Session I have.
It's another certificate she needs from you all.
She sent out the email, buried in the middle of it was something that we were supposed to sign in return. It wasn't obvious. Skipping the email that we needed.
Score.
So if you fill out this paper copy, it'll say if you happen to do it via email.
Did anyone get that, so I attended the open meeting law thing at the state ran, Attorney General's office, and I did my recording and my AI converted it to meeting minutes. And I thought I emailed it to everyone. Did everyone just get it?
Yes.
They did? Okay. Oh, great. Thank you. I wasn't sure because and the emails said it was an hour long, but it was an hour.
Peter, you filling one out? I did.
Everybody have those in? This?
Then this is the order for 112 Oxbridge.
Don't you think those are too big? I don't know.
They're like few, I mean, I like those little tiny ones.
Open meeting law?
Oh, God.
I think they're. I'm gonna be thinking. Here's our little thing. My mother-in-law made a peach product. Cooling as we speak with our peaches from our peach tree.
This one's running dry. So
Yeah, don't read it.
While the signatures are getting on, the last order of business is to review and approve minutes from the 14th, 2025. We have a motion.
I make motion to accept the minutes for August 14th, 2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. The minutes were provided in the packet. It's not have any comment. Or changes. What else?
No, but did not vote for him or not.
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Last item is good and welfare for the commission. This is an opportunity for commissioners to bring any concern that they wish to share and perhaps get put on a future agenda.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, kind of been related and as discussion as to our chair, to be whoever that is. And in talking with our clerk, she makes a good point that we should probably run contentious hearings more by the book of Robert's Rules of Order. And I think it would just be a good thing for us all to get better knowledgeable about Robert. It gets in the way. So it's knowing what's important and what are things. So I don't know how big a book it is.
You can download it. I have it downloaded on my computer.
Right, so we do have a copy, so I'm wondering if I could borrow it and/or I think the town should buy, if you can get multiple copies, because everyone should have.
Well, it's a blue book The problem is that it's kind of dry. What you might be better served is if you look online, there are lots of resources like Toastmasters and other places.
A dummy down version.
It's not a dumbed down version, but it gives specific use cases on how to do specific things. The reason why Robert's Rules is adopted by almost all organizations for holding their meetings is because it's suited for anything between three people sitting around a table conducting a small family business, a large plenary session of thousands of people, some of whom are going to be the next day with pistols at dawn. And so Robert's Rules is a way to conduct business regardless of the feelings and animosities that may be taking place.
So maybe it's not a Robert, so I understand Robert rules for it,
So-
how motions and what's acceptable, blah, blah. But I'm more, that's important, but I'm more interested, I'm not sure it's in Robert, how to run the hearing. It's like all the comments should be to the chair and there shouldn't be back and forth as opposed to no, an informal, you getting into questions. So it's really up to the chair as to how to run it, whether it's strict and it's a function of the audience. So I don't.
If you go online and look at how the city of Boston, city of Worcester, Framingham, other very large corporate institutions that have multiple staff, they have an agent, they have a clerk, and they have junior agents. They are very boom, 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 and they don't engage in this kind of discussion at all. Everything is addressed to the chair. It's very formal. My position as chair is if we did everything according to Robert's Rules, what would happen is we would have the public hearing and we would open the public hearing and then someone would say, I move to approve the notice of intent as submitted. Someone would second it. At that point, we would have a discussion and someone would say, I move to amend the existing notice of intent because I want to add the following things, or I want to change the following things. There would be discussion on that. It would be voted yes or no. Then someone else would say, well, I think it should say, the way that I've been running meetings and that my predecessors as well is we don't do that level of Robert's Rules. Instead, we informally do what's called the committee of the whole, which is where everybody in the whole room, including whoever's an interested party, get together and chat it all out. And then you have a motion to come out of committee of the whole. And that's where someone says, they in effect do what I've done in the past where, okay, we move to accept the notice of intent with the following changes from. So as I said, this is something that the new chair would have to decide what they're comfortable with. And yes, on contentious meetings, that's where you say, no, we're going to be very careful about addressing to the chair. You do not make comments about previous people by name. You say the previous speaker the same way it does it at town meeting. So whoever the chair is, I would say, look at online resources, look to see if there's training at a community college or an institution, and talk with talk with Isabel about the training budget, and then see about having that training be something that gets approved by the commission.
Here, I think you also have to kind of tailor Robert's Rules to a public setting, because there are some differences in terms of, for instance, in some places the chair can't vote, and other places the chair can vote.
Yes,
So
those are
the things that you have to tailor to
Yeah.
the situation.
And then I know we've allowed the chair, we've taken the stand that the chair.
we do not have a choice. It explicitly says in the Wetlands Protection Act statute that the chair is a full voting member. Now, it may be that a particular conservation commission in the town adopts custom that the chair abstains except to break a tie, or the chair votes last, or those other things. Again, that is something that the future chair would propose.
All right, here's one for you. I have no problem with the chair voting. I do have a problem with the chair making a motion. I don't believe the chair should be able to make a motion. The chair is so powerful. The chair entertains a motion, and if the chair is doing his job, he's got someone to make a motion that he wants to see, as opposed to, but that's, I don't know what your feelings are on that, but that's just my feelings.
The best way to deal with the chair who makes a motion is to not second it. And then the chair hangs their head in shame.
There you go.
Or to vote a new chair.
I think the select board mainly has the vice chair make the motions.
There you go, because
I think the chair can help move through the motion or give suggestions. And a lot of times we sit here and we're not sure what to do. And Carl will say, well, I think this is, you could do this or you could do that. And then that kind of helps to get us all rounded up.
One of the advantages we have with a staff is we have a motion sheet, and where Isabella has done the research
A lot.
and is able to craft the right language rather than us guessing at it, trying to make it work after the fact when someone writes up the agenda, writes up the minutes.
And I do think in those contentious moments, sometimes we don't want to make a move either way, we're not sure what the right move is. So that's tough when we get into those situations. So it does help to have the motion sheet a lot. So that was a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
And that'll make meetings a lot shorter.
Better run short of the meetings. Usually they got rid of those.
The other thing that will happen as part of the reorganization, chair and vice chair, is if we want to reassign the land use commission, task force, other liaisons that we have. And if people want to express interest saying, well, I'd really like to be more involved in this, then
Can I be the liaison to the new agricultural committee?
if you're not on it already,
I'm not.
okay. But that is definitely something that we would be interested in having, because a lot of whenever someone with a farm comes before us, it's helpful if we are in alignment with what the agriculture commission is telling. So if you are attending the agricultural commission meeting as a observer, not a voting member, that you can provide input to them saying, well, the Wetlands Protection Act of the Mendon bylaw really says this, not what you think it does. So that kind of cross-fertilization is helpful.
Fertilization.
You got that, okay. Any other food and welfare issues? Okay, there are no items anticipated within 48 hours in advance of meetings, so now we're ready for that most blessed of motions.
move to adjourn.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Motions to adjourn are not as debatable. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I'm
Abstentions? Motion passes. Stop the recording.
Have a good night, everybody.